Absolutely. So we're heading into the game now. So we have Matt on new and Ben on Enigma. So yes, we heard some question about how many rounds. So we've got 2 more rounds of this draft, and then we've got another draft with 3 more rounds, and that will be it for today. And then tomorrow we're going into 6 rounds of CC.
So that's importantly 3 rounds of CC in the remainder of Swiss, and then 3 rounds of CC as we work our way up through the top 8 there as well. So you'll see 6 on the broadcast, but unless you're one of those lucky and skilled few, you may not necessarily be playing through all 6.
Okay.
All right.
So
we've got our game starting here.
Hey, let's see who's going first.
Both players looking like they're having a good think on what we're looking at here.
Already a Transcend card is jumping out at me.
Yep. And it's one of those really nice ones. That might be one of those ones that, you park in the arsenal and you wait. We've seen Ben pull out a droplet in his deck before. I don't think there's, a cleaner 2-card combo in this format than droplet into Path Well Traveled, take that card back. You're at its absolute floor for Enigma is a 2-card 7, and the turn just gets to keep going on after that.
Okay, starting off with a Hay Shelter.
Into Red Waning Vengeance. I think this is a great way for Ben to set up this board. You've positioned some ward. You don't have the counters quite yet, but we did see him arsenal that premium Transcend card. So we'll see how this evolves.
Okay, starting off with the Mistblade. Always a good way to start.
Definitely.
Okay, and I can see a hiss in hand. Maybe wanting to arsenal that for later. Let's see.
Arsenal that for later, or depending on, I think, maybe how willing Ben is to let, that Hay Shelter go. Maybe it's implying he doesn't really want to pitch a blue this turn to buff it up and get that extra spectral shield value off of Waning Vengeance. We'll have to see. These daggers are really, really good, especially on this turn 1 at that exploratory nature, right? So
yeah, so he's cashing in that Hay Shelter immediately. He's not even trying to get the extra ward on it. So he's very much realizing he's not going to be pitching into a blue this turn, which you don't really want to do on your opponent's turn unless you have a very good reason for it.
Certainly.
Okay, into a second.
To another Beckoning Mistblade. At this point, maybe you're debating if you can find a way to keep that Waning Vengeance. You can put that Uphold Tradition counter on it on your turn. It's a great way to get things started on the go. Or you might give a card here. This may also be a decent opportunity to play out that drop in the ocean. Maybe if you really, really want to, you can play out the Path Well Traveled double, or you can use that lovely equipment suite that we've seen come out before.
Cashing in equipment for 1 value is great when you've got those wards on the board. You really don't want to lose that the Waning Vengeance to just a 1. Okay, so we know the hiss is in hand. The question is he going to use it here? So coming in for 3 on a Bonds of Memory.
So Bonds of Memory, probably not going to be getting too much value on the life gain, but it's 3 damage. It's threatening that Waning Vengeance. And, you're playing against an assassin. Do they have an attack reaction? I think, Ben made a pretty good call there saying, you know what? Absolutely, you're attacking me for 3. I have ward 3. I'm happy to let it go. I've got a hand. You'll see what it is next turn.
And it means that now New starts to build up that Banish zone, and that's what all of which is about in the end game, isn't it? Just building up those blues and getting that into the Banish to try and play them out afterwards.
Oh, and it's the Cosmic Awakening. That could be a fantastically fun thing to play out of the Banish zone. That Hay Shelter, though, also a really good pickup because it will always be at least ward 2, because you will have to pitch a blue, in that case a Chi, to activate New's ability. Good instant speed thing to get in there to maybe play around some of the sneaky things that Enigmas can do as well.
And really, New doesn't really mind too much about these blue auras. At the end of the day, 1 life is 1 life, and if you're going to gain it, then they're instants. You can play as many as you like from Banish Zone.
Yep.
Okay, coming in for 4. Now we know there's a Transcend card.
and we know it's path well traveled. So this is exactly that dream combo that you're looking for. So off of these three cards that we see represented, the pitch card, the played card, and the card in the arsenal, we're going to have an attack with 6 with go again that could make a spectral shield that will come in for 2 go again for free. You still have a resource floating, and you're still going to have 2 cards in hand. I think this is, maybe less so than Ben's last game, a fantastic way to get this started.
And there you go. Foretold the future there, coming in for 6, giving it the +2. Fantastic way, and giving it go again as well. So this card's going wider. Now, maybe Matt saw this coming because obviously he's got some cards in hand, and no one wants to IP themselves. So, yes, we'll see how this plays out. So we've now got the shield coming in for 2 for free. Okay.
And Wounding Blow on the follow-up. This is just a really good, clean turn. This is, 12 damage turn, straightforward. And Ben gets to end on an arsenal. Whether it's offensive or defensive, I think he's happy either way.
Absolutely. Wounding Blow was a bit of not a high pick in WTO when it first came out in Welcome to Wraith, but it really is. And you want any 0-4s you possibly can. That breakpoint is so important.
You definitely do. I think it was a little bit of an unsung hero in WTR. It could round out a lot of really nice Dorinthia turns. Obviously great in Katsu, 0-for-4, discard, do what you want with it. We're starting with a blue coming from Matthew here. Desires of Flesh. So we're looking to hit and banish an attack off the top of the deck.
And when you see an assassin attack you for 1 with 2 cards in hand and 1 in arsenal, it's fine. Nothing can go wrong.
Well, we know that what's in arsenal there is that Slither from last turn. That was made by that hiss that didn't end up getting used. So it'll be interesting to see. Oh, there it is. So we're coming in for that 1. Oh, that 2.
Oh.
Being buffed up by Grain that tips the scale here.
Seeing the value of these blue attacks just for getting that Transcend out. Now, there's not really that much Ben has that you can play for now, but anything you can get is worthwhile.
Yeah. Oh, we spoke too soon.
Wow. Okay. Suddenly got a lot better.
It certainly has. What would have just been a Hay Shelter for 1 and then a Cosmic Awakening for 0, or I guess Hay Shelter for, Ward 1 value or Ward 2 value, depending on how the next turn goes defensively, and then Cosmic Awakening for 0 because you can't actually pitch for it, is now just going to become that Ward value and then a Droplet for 4. So straight off the top, some good value there. And we're seeing that Spectral Shield disappear.
Okay, now we're going to see the Banish effect for Desire of Flesh.
Ooh, Tidal Surge.
Another blue. Suddenly it's got quite dangerous.
It definitely has. And, it's only now that I've looked over at Matthew's equipment suite there. It seems to be very light. And I thought it was just the black sleeves blending in with our dark-colored mat. But nope. So there's no Aqualapse here to give this Droplet or Spillover that surprise go again. But there might be something in hand still that can pull something sneaky and tricky out. Or, if we have a spare blue, pitch to dagger, force that block, and then play out that Spillover. Or Tidal Surge, pardon me.
Yeah. So it's Tidal Surge for 7. Not too worried about, not too sad about that when there's only 4 cards in Banish. That's a top pick.
Oh, definitely is.
And I was playing out that Hay Shelter just for free life.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, we'll see how Ben wants to block this. Now, he hasn't got a board state, so at least he has nothing to protect right now, but does he want to take 7 damage?
Against new, it's always dicey. You know they have those attack reacts. So far, the only one we've seen has been a yellow Slither, and I think we've seen a couple of, some other yellow cards that maybe aren't your favorites in Matt's deck here. So maybe that might be a signal to Ben, maybe I can chance it a little bit lower because I don't necessarily think he has those premium reds, those double troubles, those venomous bites, all that. But we'll see.
No, he's taking it. He's got the pen out, and he's, not blocking at all. So we'll see what Ben can strike back with. Now, as opposed to the last round, we've had the mirror. At least now that Ben can really form an attack to swing back. So we should be hopefully seeing a bit more of a tempo change between each play now than we saw in the previous round.
Definitely. So, there's no ward to get through. You can just go straight into the damage here.
And it was tree into a Droplet.
So that's going to buff up our droplet because we played the blue card beforehand, and we're going to also be drawing a card off of that first tentative Chi Moon as well. So hopefully there's some way of giving this go again. Otherwise, you're ending your turn with just a few too many cards in hand. But, you know, there always is with these things.
But what is that in hand? Another Transcend card.
And
Well,
it's
there we
another
go.
path well traveled.
Absolutely brilliant.
This is, these are exactly the cards that you want to be running. Droplet into Transcend, or, you know, Tidal Surge into Path Well Traveled is just such a good combo. It's the cleanest combo that I think any hero in this format can run. It's universally applicable. The downside is, in order to do that, you need to, one, draft those Path Well Traveleds, and two, be able to play them out without playing back those blue mystic attacks against you, like we saw last turn.
Okay, so flipping over Aqua Seeing Shell and drawing a card.
Yeah, so we saw that Path Well Traveled Transcend turn into that Spectral Shield that's now attacking, using that Aqua Seeing Shell to help cycle out that card, turn that blue into something else, and also being used for that armor. Wow, into the spillover on the follow-up. This really just is, you know, that big blue, like all those mystic buffed up attacks coming out from Enigma here.
Absolutely. But needing to be careful because New is going to play them right back at you if you're not careful. So really, New, it looks like Enigma's really going on the offensive here to try and close the game before all these blues come back.
Definitely. But that being said, there's already a droplet in the banish zone, and, you know, with something like a Passover, you can just add more fuel to that fire pretty easily if you're Matthew. At the end of the day, you know, you don't necessarily need 5 fantastic cards in New's banish zone. You're more than happy with just 1 or 2, and I think he's seen that 1 or 2 in there already. He's just trying to figure out the math on what's worth preserving in terms of life totals here, and what's worth swinging back.
Okay, so Matt's just going to take that down to 7. So we're reaching the end game now. But now Matt's got no armor whatsoever. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out since Ben's got 3 pieces there.
Certainly. So we're pitching a Bonds of Attraction to come in with our Beckoning Mistblade. That 1 damage here can be really annoying. It can kill that Spectral Shield, or it can just be a really easy decision to go, you know what, I have a Battlefront Bastion. I think I can cover both your daggers with it, or, you know what, here's my equipment that will cover it up as well.
Oh, he's thinking about it. Yep, it's the Battlefront's coming out.
It is a great card to cover because it either covers the next dagger, which may or may not be coming depending on what's being played out, or it leaves that 1 floating prevention on the next attack that you can just block normally and have a little bit of insurance there against, you know, some of those more fringe attack reactions like Intimate Inducement or any one of the blues.
And of course, with 1 shield there, if you can have that 1 prevent on top of that, it may even dissuade New from reacting at all. Oh, okay. Just, yep. Keeping a hand, again, need to know when to fold them, and sometimes it's just not worth protecting a shield, even just for 2 damage.
So the shield's been gone, which to me says Ben must like his hand to a good degree, and I see why. There's an Astral Etchings in there. There's a Waning Vengeance. It looks like another way to Transcend as well. Those are, you know, all 4 of those cards can definitely be played out. The question is, do you want to potentially allow this Beckoning Mistblade to hit? Because if that blue attack gets go again, it might be a nasty trick with Transcend on the follow-up. We'll have to wait and see.
When you see New swing at daggers twice, sometimes it's because she's desperate to use those daggers, and if you can just deny those 2 daggers, it can end up doing a world of favours for you. So
Definitely.
It'll be interesting to see how this one plays out, especially with so much armour still on the board.
Interesting. So we're pitching to play out the Waning Vengeance. So a blue has been pitched, so the secondary effect is active. So we are going to create a Spectral Shield on the back of this. Notably, a blue card has also been played, so anything that transcends is now online as well. And then we're coming in with a yellow Impulsive Desire with 1 floating. So there is still that card in Arsenal. We may have some sneaky tricks up our sleeves, but at the end of the day, is it worth necessarily protecting that spectral shield, or do you wait, transcend, and then just have another one? Because you do have the life lead, right? It's one card in Arsenal. You know it can't be just a nick because this has 2 base power. At most, this is going up to 6. 4 life, probably not exactly, or 5 life, I suppose, after the ward. Not exactly where you want to be against new, but it's still very playable.
Absolutely, and by not blocking with the Battlefront Bastion, you've basically had the same effect there. You've created a Spectral Shield, which means you still have that 1 prevention carrying over, except what it does allow you to do is transcend, because you've played a blue. So a very heads-up play there from Ben. Okay, so we've reduced it down to 1, and there is 1 Spectral Shield, so those should cancel each other out. But the question is, what is in Arsenal for new?
And, if it is an attack react, is it even worth playing now? Or do you save it for next turn when you know you need to clear that board state, right? I think we've seen some good Arsenal discipline. We were talking about Anton doing it last game. I think Ben showed a decent amount of it this game by arsenaling that drop in the ocean. Make sure you get value on it on your opponent's turn. Having to pitch the Battlefront Bastion to play out the Blue Waning Vengeance for 2 cards on 2 defense, 3 because you got to play the drop in the ocean. A little bit awkward, but I think at the end of it, I think Ben is pretty happy with where he's ended up on this turn. He's still got 3 cards. He can make that Spectral Shield, swing it in, and then follow it up. We also know there's an Ancestral Etchings in there as well. So
just thinking if there's anything he wants to do at the end of New's turn before it switches over. Nope, he's decided it's going to go to his own turn. Okay, let's see how Ben starts this turn. I think it's pretty even so far. I mean, Nuge really had the offensive for now, but Enigma seems to be pulling it back and is certainly on the life gain now.
Definitely. And I think a lot of what we've seen come out of Enigma here hasn't necessarily been a lot of illusionist Enigma tricks. It's just been, here's some solid blue cards. I'm going to end my turn with some degree of ward on the board, and it's going to give me that incremental value over the course of the game, over the course of these turns. And I think it'll be interesting to see what's being held in that arsenal. Because I think if that's a really good react in arsenal, I think Matthew might be pretty happy. If it's, a mediocre yellow attack, maybe less so. He may not like where he is.
Of course, we know what's coming next, and that is if Ben's not no, he's not playing it on the right. Okay, he's not playing it as I say. I was hoping to lead up to Ben's play, but he decided to check his graveyard first. So
it's important information, absolutely. You built the deck, you know what's in it, and now you're thinking, okay, I know I have this many premium cards left. We know Ben's got some red hay shelters in his list. Whether they made it into this matchup, maybe not.
Okay. So we see a Levels of Enlightenment being pitched. And going into the Astral Etchings.
So now we're sneaking this over. This is that Astral Etchings that unfortunately didn't get to see its day in the sun last game. But now it's doing exactly what you want it to be doing. So we're sneaking a good chunk of that damage through. And hopefully there's a nice follow-up here. Oh, no, sorry. That was Ben's last card there, got pitched in order to play all of that out with the Uphold Tradition and the Astral Etchings.
Now, with New having 3 cards in an arsenal, it's probably unlikely he's going to be protecting the shield, but we'll see how Ben does.
However, we did see Ben there use one of those spare resources to activate Truth Retold. He did activate Uphold Tradition on this turn as well, so he snuck 2 ward in just on the basis of his equipment alone. And if that's a Kikoi chest as well, then you can cover 3 quite nicely. You may be able to get through it, because I think it's about time we get back to some of those nice 3-block blues that we saw in Ben's list in the last game.
And with this format, you really want effective use of your equipment. So I think we're really seeing here that Matt is really suffering from not having that equipment value. He had his head and nothing else.
Yeah,
so
it's
really,
such a difference
Enigma's managing to pivot there using the equipment. Okay.
So here we go.
Dagger for 1. I don't think Enigma's too worried about that.
No.
There we go.
Let it go on the armor.
Okay.
Another dagger for 1 with 2 resources floating as well. So that might be relevant on the follow-up if we, have something. Okay. A big attack is still very much on the table.
Enigma being able to keep her entire grip there. So now we're coming in for a 3, but with 4 cards. Now, if you can block 6 on that, you're pretty happy, unless there's a venomous bite in the arsenal.
Yes, most certainly. Then the question is, well, if you have the chess piece that you know can defend an extra 1, you might be a little bit more willing to chance that. But it looks like there's some cards in Ben's hand that don't block very well. There's a Waning Vengeance, some awkward 2 blocks, maybe something that can't block. I can't quite see from this angle, but we're about to find out. So it looks like the bluff was called against Matthew there. It wasn't that react, because we'd like to think if it was, you'd play it out on the off chance that you can sneak it through, right?
Ben really taking a gamble there, but if you have no blocks on hand, sometimes that's what you have to do. And at least the instance can be played as a reaction.
Yep. So here we go. Last game, it was that 7 damage free weapon swing that ended up being Ben's downfall. Now he's swinging his own 6-go again, and I think he's smiling about it. He's happy about it now.
Yes. So yes, last round we had rocks, and now we have Anothos.
Yes.
So
it's nice to be on the other side. Although we do see a Justin Nick come down from Matthew there. That is a card that's so much more fun to play than it is to block with.
Yes.
Unfortunate, but necessary when life totals are this low.
Oh, we're seeing Ben think. He's just having a look at his graveyard. Okay. Let's see.
And I think that's
Banish is still quite empty. That's the other thing. New's not really meaning to. She's not managed to banish many cards this game.
Not quite. Sometimes it's hard when there's all that ward up on the board. But at the end of the day, there is still a blue droplet in there. You know, I think you're happy playing that because it's a 1-card 4 when you pitch for your new ability, or you can do what Matthew did last time and just hit the 7 attack right off the top. Ooh, and the red venomous bite.
So here you go. Down to 2, so everything's going to be coming for lethal now. So the question is, can you turn this around? We saw last time in the mirror the board state became too big, and could it be repeating itself here?
Well, I think the fact that Matthews had to block from the get-go this turn just to survive left him with 1 card in hand against a board that's going to be swinging a minimum of 10 is a challenge.
And will we see what that chess piece is? I mean, we saw it last round, didn't we? But let's pretend.
There could be sideboard. You know, he came into last round with 4 pieces. He may have drafted a 5th and got real sneaky with it somehow. I'm curious to see what Matthew's arsenal is, because
he's held on to it for a very long time, which is either a very good thing or a very bad thing, and you can never tell until we see it.
I think it might just be one of those awkward scenarios. Yep.
Yep. Oh, and here we go.
There it is. Oh, the pick to pieces.
But without a react, the pick to pieces really isn't picking very much, is it?
It would have gone so well with that attack react that we just saw him block with, unfortunately. But yeah, with no equipment and no cards, there's not a lot of tricks you can try to have up. And now I think Ben's feeling reasonably confident going into this turn.
Well, of course, the problem with Justin Nick is it needs to target a 1-base attack. So having a red there isn't much good.
Yes, but he also blocked with the red venomous bite, I believe, on the follow-up turn against that hay shelter.
Yes,
so, you know, you're running 2 of just absolute slam dunk fantastic attack reactions. Being forced to block with them this late in the game is really not where you want to be when you're seeing, you know, a lot of the other bits of your deck are kind of those middling yellows. We saw that that Art of Desire Soul get pitched earlier. I think it was turn 1. I don't think that's a card you really want to be playing unless you really have to round something out. You know, how many yellow cards are in this format? It tries to target yellow cards.
Yes. And here you go, Matt's blocking with 2 cards, and it looks like he's going to have to block with, go down to 1. So, yes, it's looking like we might be reaching the end of the game here. Board states in this format are just so valuable in Enigma. They
really, really are. And they're also valuable on the other heroes. I think it's important to remember that a lot of other heroes have, you know, their equipment is their board state, and that can be so, so valuable. And coming into a matchup with just 1, staring down an opponent with 4, you feel like you went to school and forgot to wear your trousers that day. It's that simple.
Misplayed for a very, very sad 1, and we can see there's a Waning Vengeance on the board already. So I don't think Enigma is feeling too sad right now.
Yeah,
I think.
So Ben, even though wasn't able to actually play anything new, attacking, impactful last turn, still managed to swing for 10, still managed to further develop that board. Now we've seen that inner chi come back. We've made another shield. That blue pitch, when Waning Vengeance disappears, creates that other spectral shield. This turn, Ben is going to be able to swing for an awful lot.
And all of a single chi, which really just shows the value of the chi. It's a one-card play to create 2 shields, one of which has a counter on. It's just so valuable.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And again, we're seeing, all of these fantastic reacts. They may not be reds, but they're still really good. They just came up for Matthew a little bit too late in the game, a couple turns earlier, and he may have been able to sneak one through, stop some of those special shields from snowballing up, or just, killed it that one turn earlier.
And having those picks of pieces, it's so vital for the new versus Enigma matchup, isn't it? Just to be able to get through and just break down. It doesn't matter how much wood you have; they're all dying. So it was just unfortunate for Matt that he just couldn't quite line it up. It was there for so long, and he just could not get the reacts to line it up and just destroy the board state. And if he did that a bit earlier, I think we would have seen a very different game.
Absolutely. And I think that goes to what you were saying earlier about a lot of people are avoiding new because you do get those really clunky hands. I have a hand that's 4 stealth attacks with 0 go again. I have a hand that's 4 attack reacts that I now can't play because I have no stealth attacks. Or, any mix of those, or the timing came up awkward. Now my life totals are too low, and all of that push and pull. Meanwhile, these other heroes have just a lot more go again than you do, to be honest.
And we've seen that New just can't get cards into banish. If you've got all that ward up, then New's just not hitting. And so, although she had that really good, Matt had that really good play early on when there was only, I think, turn 2 with the Transcend, just couldn't repeat that success.
Yeah, certainly. And I think part of that goes to, when you're building your new deck, how much do you want to commit to playing out of your opponent's banish zone, right? Because sometimes they are going to fully sideboard out. Or in the case of Ben's deck here, no, I know my deck is really good. I have 2 Path Well Traveled. I want to give all these blue Mystic attacks go again. And he did exactly that. Yeah, he ate some on the back end after they were played back against him through New's hero ability. But at the end of the day, your total damage output outdid that. And I think a lot of News are, worried that people are going to be sideboarding out. So now they're taking out some of those Transcend cards. They're reducing the power of their own hero ability. And it becomes that kind of cycle again of, are they playing it? Are they not playing it? Are they sideboarding? Are they not sideboarding? How many Transcend cards did I even draft? Am I in New because I didn't get Transcend cards to draft? Who knows?
And we saw from Ben's deck, the first game was quite clunky in the hands. You didn't quite get things in the right order. But it seemed like the second game got a lot smoother.
Certainly. And I'm not sure if it was difference in sideboarding there as well, because I think there were some difference in density. I don't think we saw quite as many of those blue Mystic attacks, those droplets last game in that Enigma mirror. But it'll be interesting to see if we can get a chance to have a chat with him and say, walk us through your philosophy, what worked, what didn't,
Absolutely. So Ben's going a 1-1, and we'll see how he's doing into the final round.